Ready?
All right. This is as good as we get.
Hello. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you guys so much for coming. My name is Katie. You may have seen me famously on Facebook. I am the one who is always trying not to get into too many fights, but it's tough. I'm the secretary for the Glencliff neighborhood group. This is Tony, who is our treasurer for the neighborhood group. We, unfortunately, our fearless leader, Alexa, she's muted. Our fearless leader, Alexa, has had some travel issues. She was supposed to be here home on Saturday, and she's currently in the Dallas airport. So she wished that she could be here with us. She's the one who really pushed to put all of this together. Most of you probably know, most of you probably voted for Alexa, but we could not do what we do without her. She is the lifeblood of the neighborhood group. So again, thank you all for coming. We have Sergeant Denny here from MNPD, MNPD, too many acronyms, who's going to answer some of our questions. Thank you to everyone who did submit the questions ahead of time. That was really, really helpful, so that I could get those questions over to him ahead of time so that he could consider some of the answers. So the way that we're going to do this is he's got all of the kind of questions, or at least as many as I could kind of combine together and kind of go through those. We also have Juleesia here from Walk Bike Nashville, who's going to speak about a couple things, including a planned vigil that we have for Mrs. Yu. So she's going to give some more details on that. Oh shoot, poor Alexa doesn't hear me talking. That was my bad. Alexa, I've been talking this whole time, and you missed all of it, but that's okay. Everyone knows you're here. So Juleesia is going to talk about some of that, and then we'll hand it over to Sergeant Denny, who will kind of give an update, so to speak, on some of the questions that were submitted. And then if there's time for any additional questions afterwards, we'll certainly be able to kind of open up those discussions. We just ask that we keep it civil. If there are any concerns that you guys have afterwards, we'll be here, so please don't hesitate to stop us, come by and get us. We also have a neighborhood meeting planned for next Sunday at 4 p.m. Yes, this coming Sunday at 4 p.m. here, but it's in the alumni room, which is the red building in front of the football fields. Right, Debbie? Okay, so we'd love to have you there as well. We have a number of different topics. We'll talk about some follow-up from this meeting. We also have a couple of other things planned, ways to get involved. I know there's a lot of other hot button topics kind of going on in the district that we all feel passionate about, and we can kind of talk about what are the most productive ways to get together and tackle those issues, so to speak. So we encourage you all to come to the meeting. Alexa will be there for the meeting on Sunday at 4 o'clock at the alumni room. But I think, am I missing anything?
I got a mic too. No, we just wanted to thank Ms. Suzanne Link at Glencliff High School for having us here in the auditorium tonight. We'd also like to thank News Channel 2 for being, News Channel 4, excuse me. News Channel 4 for joining us here tonight, and they also aired, they've been very supportive of us in the past few years as well. So that's been awesome. And we're gonna go ahead and have Juleesia come up and speak on some of what we've done with Walk Bike in the last few months, and some other plans on how to make the neighborhood more walkable and easier to travel through.
And safer.
And safer.
We'll have Ralph here. Cool.
Do you want me to come up there or stay?
You can come up. Yeah. We are also, Gabriel is here, he's recording this for, we have a YouTube channel for the Glencliff neighborhood group, so anybody who is unable to make it today, we'll post the link to the video once it's available so that anybody can kind of come back and watch it afterwards.
Oh,
Okay.
you got it. It's all you.
All right. Are you gonna sit here?
Oh, sure.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I know it's cold out, but I'm so grateful for this opportunity to just tell you a little bit about our organization and some of the work that we've been doing over the last few months and what we hope to continue in the next few years. We are planning to stay here as long as needed. We know that there's a lot of need across Nashville, but we see that there is an even greater need here in South Nashville just to make it safer, more livable, more enjoyable for the residents that are here. And you can kind of see that in our mission. It's working towards a more walkable, bikeable, livable Nashville for all through education, engagement, and advocacy. So Glencliff High School and Wright Middle are two of our partner schools that we've been working with this year. And I'm happy to show you a little bit of what we've accomplished so far. So October 1st was the first walk to school day that Glencliff and Wright Middle actually participated in. More of our middle schoolers, I think, took to the streets than our high schoolers given the early start time. But it was a wonderful day. It started at 6 a.m. We had our Families for Safe Streets chapter here as well. And Families for Safe Streets is welcoming anybody who has been impacted by traffic violence. So if you have lost a loved one, if you know someone who has lost a loved one, we welcome you to our calls. And we're also working to just get a lot of resources for those who have gone through that loss. So any type of emotional counseling, if folks are ready to begin advocating and helping to be an advocate for our work, we welcome you. So yeah, this is a little bit about our Walk to School Day. It's been happening for over 25 years. We have over 46 schools participating, but this was the first year that both schools did participate. So it was really great to just kind of kick off our presence in the neighborhood, and Glencliff and Wright Middle have just been amazing partners to work with. So we're really excited that we get to continue that partnership and continue to have space to engage and opportunities to work with you all, because if it wasn't for this day, we probably wouldn't be this much more ingrained with Glencliff Neighborhood Group. The next opportunity, if you've been to the open streets on Antioch Pike, that was spearheaded by our organization along with NDOT, along with Glencliff Neighborhood Group, and a lot of other community partners to make that day possible. It was about a little over a mile, I would say, over from, I'm trying to remember, basically where Wright Middle was, a little bit further down, off Nolensville, all the way down to this intersection over here. So it was just a space for us to close off to vehicular traffic. We really wanted to reclaim the streets and what they are meant to be for. They're not meant to be feared, right? Streets are public spaces. You also have a right to them if you are not in a car. You have a right to sit in your front yard, converse with your neighbors, go on walks, go on rides, and not feel unsafe. And that's just not the reality that a lot of Nashvillians live with. So this was just an amazing day. I was here that day from start to finish, packing up. It was just so joyous. I remember the weather was beautiful. It was a little skeptical at one point, but we hope to do more of this. We're actually also looking into some funding opportunities as well for Glencliff Neighborhood Group to do this more often, since I know that that can be a barrier, but we're always here to partner with them. And if you missed it, we have recap videos online if you're not familiar with it. But we welcome you guys out to any of our events that are gonna be happening all over the city as well. And so yeah, that's a little bit about what we've done so far. And the reason why I'm here today is, yes, to talk about the Vigilant Memorial, memorial walk that we're having for Miss Yu, our neighbor, but also I want to say that the reason why we're really here is before Walk to School Day was we started getting a lot of emails, a lot of just general interest in our work and seeing how we can help make this not just a safer place for our kids to get to school, but like I said, just a safe place for people to play in their front yards. And this is just a couple of quotes from some residents who have either emailed us in. Civic Design Center also did a public life study survey, so I was able to pull out just what some community residents have said as well, and that link is down at the bottom. It is open for feedback, so if you missed that survey, it is still available. They're collecting basically information on your lived experience and ways that they can make the area safer through quick builds. and tactical urbanism. That's a cute little buzzword, but it is essentially a quick build so that it is low cost and something that we can put up really quickly to help slow down traffic. And so yeah, some of these have been more recent. The one at the top was actually from a neighbor on Sunrise who emailed us 2 days after Miss Yu's untimely death. And it happened right in his front yard. So it was really tragic to say the least. Also, some people here who have expressed that they haven't walked the neighborhood this week. They just feel like it's too soon. Folks who have mentioned the loud cars, the speeding, the racing, and how that also has affected their mental health, right? Their sense of security in their neighborhood. I'm also seeing, just family members who are just afraid to walk outside and have folks in front of their front yard and driveway. And the next slide are also some photos that we've received from residents over the years. Some folks have taken pictures along Antioch Pike of some construction vehicles, lawn mowing companies, folks just blocking the sidewalk, and then it actually causes some of our students who walk to school to get into the busy road and get back on, and we know that that's dangerous for a number of reasons. And the picture on the right was actually a day or two right before Walk to School Day. The resident right in front of his home, basically right into the utility pole, and I believe it may have involved students, but it kind of solidified why we were here as well. So this is just a couple of concerns from my neighbors, and I know probably all of us in this room have some sort of experience with close calls or just even the speeding, the loud noises at night. So I welcome you guys to get in touch with me. I have business cards here today as well. The more that we can kind of hear your stories, we can put names and faces behind some of these numbers that we see online that TDOT does collect. Next slide is, it is for Mrs. Yu. When this was brought to our attention, we quickly got a group together, Glencliff Neighborhood Group, Civic Design Center, some folks at NDOT, my organization as well, who really wanted to, hit the pause button that a lot of our work has been on Antioch Pike, but recognizing that if we were to, quote unquote, solve the problem that's happening on Antioch Pike, it might divert some of those issues into our neighborhood streets. So we realized that this has to be a more holistic approach so that we're not basically pushing one problem from one road to the next and so on and so forth. So we're actually going to be having a memorial walk beginning and ending at Radnor Towers on Sunday the 26th at 2:30. This was the time that she was walking her routine route on the day of the Christmas parade, where she was hit and killed on the corner of Sunrise and Wingate, and the driver sped off. So, we're definitely wanting to be there for the family. We're inviting anyone out who knew her, anyone who just wants to be there and support us. We're also seeking, if there's any interest in pursuing the street closure for the day, we can do this through a block party permit that Walk Bike Nashville is happy to pay for, happy to put in the paperwork. The only thing is, based on NDOT's requirements, we need 2/3 of signatures from every resident along the route. So I will be out there on Tuesday, knocking at doors, handing out flyers, handing out community notification letters, just to let people know if this happens to go through and it's approved and residents want this, that they can get that sense of security back, that they don't have to be afraid to go out and enjoy a nice Sunday evening with their families. And while this is obviously like an evening, a couple hours of a road closure, and it's like, hey, we're right back to where we began, there will be a listening session that we're hoping to promote at Radnor Towers Community Center, their community space. And so we're hoping that people will come out, again, share some of your stories, share some of your experiences, and then from there, work with Civic Design Center to hopefully implement some sort of quick build. And that is also because if you've ever been on Wingate, you've probably seen those speed humps. There are also a couple traffic calming applications that were submitted by residents that if you were to go on, it's public knowledge, they have not been moved through the process. So essentially, that's what we're trying to advocate for, is for some of these traffic calming applications to be pushed through the pipeline so that this does not happen any further. So right now, those applications on file are on Sunrise, they're on Radnor, they're on Morton, and the one that is on Morton has been in the meeting and design phase since January 2022. There have been no updates. So if you're interested in coming out, we're gonna be there. And if you're interested in just our work, I'm happy to speak to you. And if you want to just learn a little bit more, about that process, how things get prioritized, I'm happy to speak to you. And yes, I forgot about this slide. And there are opportunities for feedback and engagement outside of this. Like I mentioned, if you're going to share the slides out afterwards, there is a link there for the Civic Design Center's Public Life Study Survey. TBA, to be announced, the community listening session will also be shared. We'll make sure that Glencliff Neighborhood Group gets that, is shared on social media. If you happen to be at the vigil, we will have some palm cards with some information we can share. And then again, just welcoming folks to join us and honor Miss Yu's life and memory. And I think that's it. So thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you so much. And I'll pass it to the next one.
Thank you so much, Juleesia. So now I'd like to welcome Sergeant Denny up here to answer some questions that you guys submitted. And I'm going to let Katie share those questions. Oh.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. First of all, my face there, I know you guys blew it up, so. But my name is Sergeant Deniv Ismailovic. I am with Nashville Police Department. I am the South Precinct Community Coordinator. I've been on the department 20 years, and I've been COCO, or we call COCO, for 4 years. And I do appreciate the Glencliff neighborhood because I think this is my fourth, I believe, meeting with them. We also have a community advisory board, and I know several members from this neighborhood attend that. And so it's really, to me, this is very easy because it's a neighborhood that we communicate, and one of our pillars of the police department is community engagement. And I believe this works exactly like it's supposed to, because a lot of people in the community have my email. I'll give you my business cards that don't, and kind of with a tragic accident that happened, that kind of, I had a lot of information sent to me. So again, it works exactly like it should. I will say, a couple of slides there, the walk to school, myself and my community engagement team, we were there in the morning. One part maybe that people didn't know, right before it started, about 5 in the morning, NDOT notified us, and one of my officers, when I was on a bicycle, there was a passed out gentleman right there on Antioch Pike, just in a car. So we were able to make an arrest for DUI right before the event started. We're always involved in that part. We were also involved in the first Latin Christmas parade. If anyone saw it and saw the blue Santa, that was me dressed. So. But yeah, we are very committed, and like I said, I really appreciate it. One thing about me, I am originally from Bosnia, but I came to this country in the late 90s and actually lived in Antioch and graduated from Antioch High School. So, this is, home. Our commander Lovell, he actually grew up in Woodbine area. He's a little older than me, but just don't tell him I said that. But so there's and again, I'll just kind of read the questions, answer them, and then of course, once we go through all that, anyone has any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. If I don't know the answer, I'll tell you I don't know. I'm not gonna, lie to you. I'm just a very transparent person, and I'll get an answer to you. And anyone that has dealt with me, they know I am very responsive. So with the street racing, what is being done to prevent, discourage speeding down Nolensville, Antioch Pike, McCall? Why are known meetups not being disrupted? So basically, most of our traffic or speed enforcement is done by our traffic division. We have a unit, we have motor officers. I believe there's 18 motor officers that cover the entire Davidson County, and they basically are responsible for that. Now, of course, all patrol officers as well are encouraged to be proactive with traffic enforcement. But as you all know, in South Precinct, it is the busiest precinct in Davidson County. It has the most pending calls, sometimes more than the 7 combined. most populated. Say like just tonight, we have 12 officers working like right now in South, which is 69.5 square miles, and there were 13 calls pending for service. And that actually is below average, because I spoke to the second shift supervisor. Usually they say, like on a night like this, they're usually in the 20s for calls pending. So that becomes difficult for the officers to do proactive, especially in the evenings, because they are going call to call to call. One thing I will add, we are forming a D detail, and basically what that is, on February 1st, they'll be answering calls in the busiest precinct. So whatever precinct has the busiest calls, they're gonna come and help out with that. And so, which, to be honest, most likely will be a lot in South. So that will allow our officers to do a little bit more proactive. And I'll go a little bit after with some stats, but the traffic division, they are the ones that enforce speeding. And I will say with that, if you want enforcement, and I will say a lot of people here do email me, I forward it to them, they log it, and because they have 8 precincts, they basically just kind of, change every day of which areas they go to. So how to curb Glencliff High School students from reckless driving, racing after dismissal. So I spoke to SROs, school resource officers. So they do sit in the parking lot and things like that. They are there. Now, of course, once they pull off, the SRO's main priority is at the school. The motor officers as well, they know, and they do try to go around schools to enforce that. Now, of course, I mean, if we got to be honest, 16, 17 years old, I'm sure everyone here did exactly what they were supposed to, and no one drove fast or anything like that. But not to make light of it, but we do know that happens. But we do have officers there. We are trying, and we know the traffic division is aware of it. So that part, they are looking at that. They did also tell me, which I looked in some of the stats, and they were on special assignment. We have school response teams, and they've said that they've come out here and run some laser during it. And that's kind of what I'm being told by school resource officers. But they will, the lieutenant over the traffic division did tell me that they're going to continue to conduct enforcement on a rotating basis. And I'll run some stats a little bit later with that. So can we have police radar presence on Antioch Pike, McCall? Neighbors feel unsafe with extreme speeds on Antioch every evening. Like it is being done, but this is where it gets difficult. So right now, the motors, like I said, have 18, and they usually work just to about evening time. So which means within the problem with the calls pending, it does become difficult, and that's where our commander is trying to find to be proactive, and we're thinking, and that's why Chief Drake has created the D detail that starts February 1st, so that will hopefully help. So I think that's the difficult part. Now on Friday, Saturday, we do have a drag racing initiative, which I think, known meetups, and I kind of skipped over that. So we do it Friday, Saturday. So the way they base their work off that is intel. So what they know is when they get information, they try to go to those areas. The problem is sometimes they get pulled away to different parts of the city as they're following it. When it first started, and if everyone remembers, kind of around COVID was really, really big time when they were shutting down interstates and everything. So after that, we've arrested a lot of group leaders of these motor clubs, if that's what you want to call them. So when I was speaking to another lieutenant of the traffic division that oversees that, what they said is once they've arrested kind of the big heads of it, now it's become more pop-ups, which become a little bit more difficult because they'll, just go, maybe sometimes there's not intelligence. And even though we work every Friday, Saturday with that initiative, like I said, it's one unit with sometimes overtime officers, and then it gets pulled. So, I know I've gotten emails, which, we know a lot for us, Murfreesboro and Bell Road, they love doing that intersection a little bit out of your neighborhood, kind of by Buchanas and Nolensville. But again, there is intelligence that they follow. It just sometimes they get pulled, and of course, if they get pulled to one part, then that allows this one, unfortunately. Break-ins, how can we get faster response times so the neighbors don't have to take things into their own hands, especially when crimes are in progress? Can we get increased patrols presence? So the main part there is continue to call the non-emergency or 911 if you feel it's an emergency. I mean, that's the best one. If you're seeing it, just call. And we understand that, sometimes the change in dispatch, like anyone that's called a non-emergency, sometimes it goes through. But, obviously in stuff like that, just continue to call because that's the best part of it. You can then email me as well. Of course, at nighttime, I'm usually either home or meetings like these, but the biggest part is just call, communicate, send, like you keep sending me all the information. That's the best thing to do because we do have undercover units that work in the evenings, whether it's vehicle crimes, robbery units. I mean, we do have all that working. So the best part is just continue to call. The other part is park smart. I mean, I know we keep saying it and sometimes people do, but the main thing is 72% of stolen guns in Nashville are stolen from cars. So people in your neighborhoods are leaving guns in cars, and then people, sometimes from outside of your neighborhood, sometimes from inside your neighborhoods, are breaking into those to commit other crimes. So, it does have to work both ways, and that's the, don't leave your car running, unlocked. We know it's cold now, so everyone wants to, warm it up a little bit. I had a meeting actually last week, and there was a young couple, and as I was saying that, she kind of looked at him, and you could tell that he doesn't. And so I was like, hey, please don't do it. And he's like, oh, it'll be okay, I can lock my car. So even if I'm telling him to his face, he's still like, no, it's okay, it'll be fine. So that's what we're dealing with sometimes. We're human beings. Unhoused population. I apologize. So I believe the question, so open drug use of public intoxication in public parks, including Coleman, what is being done to clean up these areas? So the Coleman Park, that part of it is, most of it is on Exxon's property. And I've been dealing with them for about 4 years, and depending on the managers, sometimes they say yes, that we want them gone, sometimes they don't because they come in and they're customers. I've spoken to Parks Police just even this week. They're out there, they give services, but they're mainly on that property, on Exxon's. I sent one of my community engagement officers to talk to the manager. The manager was like, oh yes, we don't want them here, but it's up to them to clean it up because it is private property. Now, they don't have a trespass waiver, so what that means is we can't just go there and enforce trespassing, they actually have to call us. And if they don't have a trespass waiver, that kind of lets you know too, how committed are they to that. So, and then sometimes maybe the main manager will say, my experience with gas stations, oh yeah, we don't want them here, but their night manager maybe does. But we are working with them about the Coleman Park to get a trespass waiver to enforce them. And we went there, they said there was like 2 tents as of yesterday morning, I believe, and they were told to leave as we're waiting for this trespass waiver and then for them to clean it up. But I deal with homeless issues every day. And we've closed down a lot of camps here. They do keep, popping up, but we work with the Homeless Impact Division, and our first goal is to obviously like help them and not make an arrest. But obviously, we are the police, we enforce the law, but we do try to help with the Homeless Impact Division through the mayor's office, and we try to give them resources. Sometimes, or a lot of times, sometimes they don't want help. But we do work, and it just depends of what property it's on. And, you know, I know there's some people here from Drummond, and, you know, we'll get to that, and there's a little different issues there as well. But, you know, there's gentlemen that couldn't be here tonight on Carlisle Place. You know, there's 2 tents that are on Briley and 24. They're looking at Averett Express. We've gone up there, and that's T-Dot's property. I've emailed T-Dot, and they are working on that. Same as, if everyone remembers Harding and 24, like I worked on that for 2 years. It was on T-Dot's property, and we were able, but what had to happen, they had to cut down all the trees for them to, you know, move. So, I deal with it daily with the homeless issues, and, you know, we're trying to, you know, be respectful, but of course, if we have to make an arrest, we have to make an arrest. But we do work with a lot of different departments in that aspect. You know, the aggressive panhandling, you know, women or people are Harding and Nolensville who knock, stand directly. Sometimes, you know, I'll be careful here, but, you know, what we think, you know, sometimes the fake funerals, right, like everyone holds those. So if they're just standing out of the roadway, it's legal. If they get in the roadway, it's not. But we have to, kind of like a speeding violation, we have to see it, and then we have to, you know, we can enforce it. Because I think there was a council lady, not for this district, but across the street, you know, she called me, and at one point in time, they set it up right in the middle of Nolensville and Harding in there, like a little camp. And it was the same way. That camp, if everyone remembers, it was a big camp. That actually turned out to be a property of the apartments. So we were, again, had to clean that up and clear everything. So that aspect of it is, again, if you see it, call it in as it's happening, but also email me, because I can send our community engagement team and, you know, just continue to work the process. The most important is just communicate with me. I will send officers out there, I promise you. The next one, I believe, was what about panhandling with young children? Yes, I mean, there's nothing, you know, we can do about that. I mean, you know, they're just, you know, their child is there. Now, of course, if there's some real endangerment there and, you know, things that we can, you know, report to DCS, of course we would do it, or anybody else. But again, as long as they're out of the roadway, yes, I mean, you know, they have a right to have their child there, you know, no, I say no different, but, you know, someone walking down the street or, you know, whatever it is, but yes, legally, yeah, we can't do anything about that unless we obviously see that the child, you know, the health and is endangered, then of course we can act on that. And then what about large encampments, Glen Rose, Mill Creek, Wimpole? So those are the ones that, like I said just a little bit earlier, we work on daily. And like we've, you know, everyone that knows Volti Boulevard, a couple of years ago, that was huge. We cleaned that up. Now it's kind of, you know, our understanding, it's kind of starting to go up again. I mean, we've cleaned out, like I mentioned. The biggest thing, just talk, you know, email me, give me information, and we'll work on it. I mean, we meet with the Homeless Impact Division every, now it's every 2 weeks, but their social worker that's like for South Precinct, I deal with her daily. I talk to her, text her daily. So just again, contact me, but it is being done because homeless camps have been closed in South Nashville. Now, of course, some of them like are popping up, and you know, I know the city is working on that. They have a homeless impact division, but the biggest thing is, you know, talk to a council person, talk to you behave, Debbie. but that's the biggest part, and then mayor's office, and that's that we all can do as together. But I can tell you that on my end, we've helped house. Actually, there was another council person in Hickory Hollow Mall just not too long ago. I attended her meeting, and there was a gentleman that was unhoused, wasn't happy with her. He came in, she didn't want him there, but he blamed her and everyone else for being unhoused. Because I worked as a detective for 10 years downtown with the Mission and Father Strobel's, we were able to kind of help him get some housing. So, but he wanted that help. So it is a tough. I mean, we're not going to kid anybody. It's a tough issue that I think we all know. All I can promise you that I work on it again daily. I know I keep repeating myself, but all you can do is just please, you see something, just contact me. Hub Nashville. They'll go straight to a homeless impact division, and that's the best way. So frequent gunshots. So Glencliff High School students shooting at each other after school on neighborhood streets, while juveniles not being held accountable. So this one spoke to Glencliff school resource officer that's been here 4 years. He said he's not aware of this, so he doesn't know. Now, to be fair, is it that they're not hearing it because when they're school lets out at 2:05 and they're in the parking lot, they're saying they're not hearing it. So I guess on that question, either once I'm done with all this, maybe clarify it and let me know exactly where it's happening, or you send me an email, it doesn't matter, so I can know exactly where it is happening. So that way we can figure that part out, where it's happening. Why they're not being held accountable, I mean, that has to go through, again, council person or juvenile court. I mean, they're the ones letting him go. And I mean, I think there was a story just not too long ago, December 10th or something, there were, I believe, 6 juveniles from age 13 to 17 got arrested with stolen guns. I believe it may be robbery. I could be wrong with that. But I know there was stolen cars. I'm sorry, I apologize. They were all arrested. 2 weeks later, that same 13-year-old, and they were arrested in South Nashville. 2 weeks later, that same 13-year-old was arrested with another 4 juveniles in North Nashville. They stole a car from here, and they did have stolen guns and cars, and that was 2 weeks afterwards. And I mean, you can Google that. I mean, that's just what happened. It was a 13-year-old. So he got arrested twice, and why they're not being held accountable, from our part, aspect, we can just arrest them. And then, so the biggest part is, just be vocal together, council people, council itself, juvenile courts, that's the, main part of that. And then what is the best course of action when hearing gunshots? Call it in. Call it in immediately as you hear, and we understand that it can be frustrating sometimes, as we mentioned with the dispatch. The best thing is call it in. If you have any footage of anything, cars. I know there's a gentleman, this neighborhood, emails me all the time about anytime there's gunshots. Now, sometimes we found out that there was one car that always drove by and what sounded like gunshots. It was actually backfiring of the car, and we had our vehicle crimes detective look at it, and and not saying that, hey, it's not gunshots, it's all cars. We know that, but in that particular instance, it was. But the biggest thing is call it in as it's happening. And again, if you feel if it's an emergency, call 911. Let us, go out there. We work off information, and same as these stats and everything, where we send officers, that's what we work off of. And then if you have any, we love footage, license plates. If we can get license plates, that's we love license plates because, if you all remember the lady, unfortunately, that was killed on the Greenway, like, in Antioch, the way he was caught, someone had a video camera in their car, caught the license plate. There was a shooting in Hickory Hollow during the summer at apartments, pool shooting. There was like 20, 30 people involved. The way we were able to arrest that person, they had LPRs running out the apartment complex. So, I mean, license plate works. What we'll talk about with Miss Yu, kind of similar stuff, happened. So next one, and then what is the other part I would say, if you have shell casings, call us so we can collect them, or if you just say you want to just call me or email me, I'll send an officer next morning to collect them, because we do what we call a NIBIN. It's a National Integration Ballistic Information Network. Basically, what that means is it follows DNA, and then it tracks all the crime that that gun has been fired from. So the shell casing. So we collect them, and it's very important. And then a lot of crime can be solved that way, because if, let's say, in that shots fired, or even let's just say a shooting, we don't have leads, but we find that that gun was used in another crime, we can follow that lead to where it goes. So if you see shell casings, please call it in, let us come pick it up. Problem houses, how to hold negligent landlords accountable. So most of this is gonna be codes. For you all to know, Monica Bishop, she's the kind of the director for this area, but again, you can email me and I'll contact her. And this is according to her, all landlords are responsible to register rental properties. They can obtain a landlord registration through our office, the codes office. Also, please let people know that any notices are sent to the property owners and not the tenants, because they have no way knowing who the tenants are. So basically that's the biggest problem with rental properties, because sometimes the owners are not in the city, or they're not even in the state, and then renters are not going to care about their own house or that house as we do that we own. But a lot of that is how to hold the negligent landlords codes. Just Hub Nashville, or if you want to email me, and I will email Monica. Homes with observed drug use, dealing, potential human trafficking, prostitution, assaults, thefts that have been raided many times, but illegal activity continues. How to shut this down permanently. So a lot in that question, right? And it covers a lot of different things. From codes, there's no way we can shut down any structure unless it's ruled as structurally unsafe, or district attorney's office determines it to be a public nuisance. So that's where we come in. We shut down one on Shasta Drive, just Nolensville past Harding Place. But that house has been a problem for 20 years. And there were, I'm not going to give you exact figure, but it was like over 250 calls. And there were a lot of issues. Because I think, and again, don't hold me to this, but I think before then, the last time a house was padlocked was, I believe, 2015 maybe, it might be even older, than that. But the point basically is, it's hard to shut down a residence, right? I mean, businesses, yes. Even then it's hard, because it has to go through the, district attorney's office for it to be shut down and basically boarded. So what happened with Shasta was they, boarded it up and, more or less forced them to sell it. So of course, it's someone's home, so it takes a lot of investigation. But again, if you feel that there's a house that's an issue, send me the information, like the one on Drummond, and we're working on that right now. We'll look at it, and then it will be up to our commander to say, hey, let's try to padlock it, but it does not happen often, But what we do is we will, we have different units, depending on what it is, like in that question, that could have gone to 8 different units in the police department. So, and we all do work together. So the main part is let me know, and then the drumming is a perfect example because that's kind of what the issue was for the last 2 months. And, you know, we've already executed 2 search warrants. There's a Sky Cop we put twice, a drumming that, you know, came from myself and the commander. And there was some break into cars, which, you know, not saying that's all from that house, but, you know, probably. But so, and we have gotten with that owner just recently, and the owners don't live there, so we're working with them to kind of justify that. So the biggest there, let me know, and like, you know, I know people on Drum and Drive and Carlisle Place started, you know, sending a lot of emails, and, you know, we have made arrests, we have recovered stolen vehicles at that house, so we will work on it, you know. And sometimes it just takes a little bit time, but we will get to it, absolutely. Multiple code violations, including too many living in a residence, too many vehicles parked on lawns, running illegal businesses. How to shut down this down and force. So codes again, and this is from Ms. Bishop. Make sure that all these properties get reported through Hub or calling their office. The number is 615-862-6590, but I'm sure now you can Google it and get that number. Please let everyone know that if the residents are a family, then they can live together. We are also prohibited from asking for identification. If someone feels like a business is being run from home, please let them know. It is also helpful to let them know what hours they operate and if they can be seen from the right of way. So any of that, like, you know, on private property will be codes, unless of course it's an illegal activity, then we get involved, and, you know, but even if you don't know, you know, send me an email and I'll make sure it gets to the right appropriate people. The hit and run with Ms. Yu, are there any updates on locating the driver? Basically, the suspect has been identified and efforts are being made to locate that person. And I will say, you know, this neighborhood has sent a lot of good information to me that I forwarded. It's you know, being run by our hit and run and fatality detectives. So you get any information, just send it to me. Of course, everything's always anonymous. So, you know, they have identified the suspect and they are looking for that person. Overall safety, can you provide accurate crime data for our area? Is crime up or down? We get mixed messaging from media, council, etc. So I know this was a big topic. So in simple terms, yes, it has decreased, but there's a lot of other things that we follow. So let's say for this is for entire South Precinct. So year to date, what that means is, so 15 days, since today's the 15th, we compared to last year, 15 days year to date. Homicides, 1 last 23, 1 24. And this is for entire South Precinct, so 69.5 square miles. 2 rapes in 23, 1 rape in 24. Commercial robbery, 1 and 1. Street robbery, 10 in 23, 9 in 20. Well, I'm sorry, it'll be 24, 25 year to date, so I apologize. So just move that 1 year. But street robbery, 10 to 9. Aggravated assaults, 53 in 24, 56 in 25 current year. So it went up 5%. Commercial burglary, 5 in 24, 2 in 25. Residential burglaries, 19 in 24, 9 in 25. Thefts, 145 in 24, 91 in 25. And then auto theft, 89 and 24, 38 and 25. So, but this is just in the 2 year to date. So we kind of follow, so everything pretty much went down. Now we go to a different, so we look at it all different ways and have staff meetings on Tuesdays. Then our commander has staff meetings with chiefs on Wednesdays every day. And you know, some police officers love stats. So in rolling 8, what that means, and this is all still for South Precinct. So we take 4 weeks, last 4 weeks, and then 4 weeks prior. So the 4 weeks prior, which have been 8 weeks ago, homicides 2, 1, the latter 4 weeks, so down 50%. Rapes 13 to 9, down 30%. Commercial robbery 2 to 6, so it went up 200% in those 8 weeks. Street robberies 21 to 33, went up 57%. Ag assaults 111 to 135, went up 21%. Commercial burglary 15 to 21, went up 40%. Residential burglary 32 to 22, went down 31. Thefts 370 to 277, went down 25. And auto thefts 116 to 123, down 6. And I know this is boring, but people asked. So then we go rolling 2. So what happened last week and week before? So that way we're, you know, tracking everything. Homicide 1 to 0, so went down 100%. Rape 1 to 0, 100%. Commercial robbery 2 to 1, went down 50%. Street robbery 9 to 4, 55% down. Ag assault 54 to 21, 61% down. Commercial burg 6 to 1, 83% down. Residential burg 6 to 6, 0. Theft 54, 61, up 13. Auto thefts 35, 19, 45. So you kind of see where, so like say last, or rolling 2 look good, rolling 8 was kind of increased. Where if we look year to date, it went down. So it just kind of fluctuates, because I know last time you all had a meeting with the council person. I think there was some, maybe, you know, people weren't happy with the answer or how it was answered. I'm not sure, I wasn't there, but basically it stays the same. You know, most of the time, November, December, especially December, the crime does go up. You know, holidays and kids are out of school, unfortunately. So that does happen. But for that part down. Now, so say for the neighborhood, which, you know, what is Glencliff? So we kind of looked from McCall, I think over to Thompson Lane, and then we kind of included even Drummond, because I knew Drummond and Carlisle people were going to be there. So we took that and we compared to, you know, because it takes a long time to pull all this. We took November, December of 23 to November, December 24. Because, you know, sometimes if you compare November, December to January, February, sometimes January, February are kind of slower months. Or, you know, summer's crime increases. So we try to keep tracks or compare the months of years, right? So it's kind of relative. And this is just for Glencliff neighborhood area. Ag assaults were 6 and 6. Commercial robberies were 1 and 1, and this is in 2 months. So 2 months, November, December 23, November, December 24. Residential burglary 2 to 5, so it went up 150%. They went from 2 to 5. Simple assault 7 to 11, 57% up. Street robberies went from 6 down to 4, went down 33%. Thefts 10 to 7, down 35%. Motor vehicle thefts went from 2 to 1, so one vehicle was stolen in 2 months, kind of in this area relatively, so down 100%. Break into motor vehicles 12 to 24, so it went up 100%. So, and then shoplifting 66 to 69 went up 4%. So you even see in your neighborhood, like some things went up, some things went down. So, you know, and when you put everything, it's kind of about the same, to be honest. And then let's see here. How can we, are there grants funding available for safety improvements, lighting cameras? So I reached out to our kind of strategic development, the captain over there. He's over crime control strategies. he's saying regarding grants, funding, or for lighting or cameras, there may be some. He's just not very sure. The biggest part there is this kind of ties into it. How can we garner support for LPRs when our council person does not support? I didn't come up with this question. It came from somewhere in here.
It was that.
Asked many times. I think this one, encourage for you guys, just continue to voice your opinions to her, to go to meetings, send emails to the whole council. They have, I think, 3 council at large people. Email them. Email mayor's office. That's the big, strength in numbers. We think, obviously the cameras, the LPRs are very beneficial, because. Like I said, I worked as a detective 10 years, and I've worked mainly homicides. Like, you don't know who's driving that car. Like, you don't know anything because it's just a car. You see people come in. It takes a lot of investigation after that, but at least you have a lead. And like I mentioned, just 2 things, and there's so many that crimes get solved because of that. But again, I'm just a lowly sergeant, and I'm here to help any way I can. But the biggest part is just be vocal, share your opinions. Council people there to represent you, and they voted, and I'm not sure, are they going to vote again? I think so, but just strengthen numbers. That's the only thing we can say, because we don't have any say so in that aspect of it. How can neighbors safely get involved and assist MNPD keep neighborhoods safe? Just what we're doing here and what you all have been doing. Just continue to communicate with us, with me. As you guys can see, I mean, just, it's funny though, the walk back to school, I mean, we were there. Myself, I was there, my unit was there, and we've done one to Paragon Mills, I think, last year, and so anytime we are involved, I'll probably and definitely be there for Miss You, so no problem there. So just continue to communicate. I think anyone here that has communicated with me, they can tell you that I will reply back to you, and you will get hopefully some kind of response in one way or the other. Many are interested in starting a neighborhood watch program. How to do this with MNPD support. I think I've sent a link, but basically if you just do neighborhood watch program, Nashville Police Department, it'll come on there and it'll give you a lot of things, kind of what to do. It can be as kind of laid back or as strict you want it, because they'll talk about police captains and this in your neighborhood. It doesn't have to be all that, but like when you want one, it'll just be a meeting like this, but kind of a little bit less, less informal. I can be there, but it basically is where someone is the contact between the community and us, and as long as you guys are walking around and seeing things, reporting things, that's all it is. But there's a link on that, and it's just communication between us. And then, how will things change when the Antioch precinct opens? Will we have more presence in our precinct? I'm not sure about this one, so someone will have to explain it. Antioch has received additional MNPD patrols. What do we need to get this? So what they'll do is, it's supposed to be open this year, maybe early spring. It's just going to make this area smaller. Now, of course, they'll take officers away from our precinct and Hermitage, and so we'll have less officers, but it'll be less area. Because right now, like, let's say when this meeting started, a call came out. We had a stabbing earlier today, second shift. Well, let's say a call comes out, Lenox Village, and the officer zone is Chestnut Hill, or Trimble Street down by Lafayette. I mean, it can take them 30, 45 minutes to get there to that. That's how big South Precinct is. All the way from downtown to Percy Priestley Lake area to Laverne to city of Nolensville. And it has two busiest roads, Murfreesboro and Nolensville Pike. And then we all know who drives on 24, how that goes. So it will help because it'll be a shorter area. I believe right now we're altogether 150 officers short, but not at South, but the whole department, everything. But it will help because it'll be less area for us to cover. And then I think there was other people, so there were some questions, how do we get presents, this. You always just email me, but I will kind of run you also some numbers, and sorry to bore you, but you are getting presents because people, your neighborhood is vocal and it's active and they communicate with me, but this is just for the year of 24. And of course it can be better, we know that. But on McCall Street, 84 extra patrols, 22 traffic stops. On Antioch Pike, 33 extra patrols, and these are official extra patrols, like a patrol officer or, coming and checking out somewhere. For Glencliff High School, we know we have SROs, so, us doing an extra patrol at Glencliff High School, probably doesn't. But, I myself, I drive on Antioch Pike and McCall almost every day. Mainly to go to lunch because I love stuff on Nolensville, but the part is there are officers here, and these are official, not even just what officers just drive through. And I didn't run all the streets, but say Sunrise, 12 extra patrols, 3 traffic stops. Radnor, 17 extra patrols, 3 traffic stops. Morton, 20 extra patrols, 11 traffic stops. South Lake, 13, 14 traffic stops. So they like going there, pulling people over. Wingate, 42 extra patrols, 5 traffic stops. Nice, 77 extra patrols, 2 traffic stops. Glencliff, 15 extra patrols, 8 traffic stops. Wheeler, 19 and 7 traffic stops. Mimosa, 9, 1 traffic stop. And then Drummond, in just 2 months, 17 official extra patrols. Official, but we've been out there. And I know I didn't run every street, but we are out there, but we understand. We can always do better, and we're trying, but, I know there's probably people, because there were some questions, how do we get extra patrols? How do we get more police presence? You have it, but it's not just, we know it can always be better, right? We wish that we can put a police officer on every street everywhere in Nashville. It would be easy for me because people wouldn't be emailing me and calling me. It would be an easy job, but we are trying. We are trying, and I can promise you, as I have done in 4 years, I will respond. I will send officers. That I can promise you. So I guess now we can open to more questions or rebuttals or people saying I'm not telling the truth.
All right, yeah, we'll come down there and does anybody have a question?
I just have one.
Oh. Okay. Yeah.
Not to hijack this. I wanted to. There was something that you had said about. It was about the high school students and the shooting. So that actually happened in front of my house.
Okay.
Well, it happened on McCall, and then and we heard it, and then they came up my street, which is off McCall, and then And we called it in, of course. We called 911, we gave a description of the cars and all that kind of stuff. So, and that makes it difficult because it's, like you said, the SROs aren't there. It was on McCall, it wasn't even on Antioch Pike, but there's only so much they can do. But that was immediately call it in, call it in, call it in. And I know that whoever submitted that question, it wasn't me who submitted that, it was one of the other neighbors who wasn't able to make it. I think he was the one who had posted the question about shell casings. We found some in our, I think he said he found them in his gutter or something like that. I was like, that's too close for comfort. But that, the moral of the story, it sounds like, is just keep reporting things. I know, and a lot of people, again, probably know me from being the one who's yelling at people and saying, stop complaining on Facebook. but report things too. I mean, that kind of stuff is so important. And if you are posting something online to say like this happened, to bring awareness, absolutely wonderful. But still make sure you're reporting it too. If you have reported it, and most of you do, I'm sure everyone here is actually reporting it. It's probably the people who aren't here that we really need to be talking to. But report everything because it sounds like, you know, that's the best way to make this. I mean, that's kind of how we made this happen. So just keep reporting things.
Yeah, and like I said, I've done this for 20 years, and again, people that, you know, I won't name names, but that I work with, is we also, like, you know, I'm not naive too, right? Like, just because the SRO said it, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happens. No one's saying it doesn't happen. You know, main part is also, when I got these questions, it was good, so I can reach out to other units, because at South Precinct, we don't have any investigative units. They kind of centralized everything. So we only have patrol, and then we used to have community engagement team. That is being done away with to staff the D detail, because, you know, the chiefs had figured out that calls pending is a big issue, especially at South. So I'll have 2 officers, you know, like 1 community engagement officer and CPO. Saying all that, even these stats that I run, I know that there's more than that, right? Because we know that a lot of people don't report it. Apartment complexes are big, like usually people in neighborhoods, they will call for the most part. Apartment complexes is a big issue because they feel, you know, they're just renting, so they don't have a buy-in. And also they feel like, hey, I have management companies, so I'm just gonna go to a manager of apartment and, you know, tell them. And then they're like, oh, hey, well, we called the police, they never showed up. I mean, you know, we can always improve, but I will tell you, like, stats, I can pull up everything. Now, it may sometimes take a little while because based on priority, but, you know, people will say, oh, yeah, we called the police and no one ever came. I have a gentleman that we're dealing with now at Paragon Mills. Oh, I called and you guys didn't show up, pick up the shell casings, even though I picked them up at a meeting from him. And then he gave us, oh, go to this spot, you'll see a bunch of shell casings. We went immediately, they weren't there. So, you know, saying all that, we know sometimes, you know, sometimes people embellish, but we also, I know that, you know, there's more stuff happening than what we're seeing because people don't. And that's what we keep saying, please report it so we know what's happening. Yes, ma'am.
I live on Wimpole Drive.
Oh, that,
I never see a place.
all that, everyone's got to hear you.
Oh. Sorry. Hello, I live on Wimpole Drive, and I've been there 5 years. I've never seen. Can we just have police cars drive through there or something? Or is that considered? Are we part of Glencliff, Wimpole Drive?
So I'll have to look, is that Woodbine or is that Glencliff?
That'd be Glencliff.
Okay.
But it's where Wixit. Somebody was brought up gunpoint at Wixit Park.
Mhm.
It's where the Greenway is on Wimpole. Wimpole's the big U, and it goes in and off.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. You know, I know exactly where it's at.
But, and I work from home, and I never see a police car drive through. And plus, you know, Metro has bought a lot of the homes to you know, because of the flood zone, and they tear them down.
Yeah.
So we've had a lot of crime because of that, and then there's increased crime in the Greenway. And I just never see a policeman just drive through there.
Yeah. Well, and I'll be honest with you,
Yeah.
I've driven on Wimpole.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but it doesn't mean that it's, like, that we can't do better.
Yeah.
I will look it up. I would be shocked to say that no police has ever driven on Wimpole.
Yeah, I've not seen them there.
Well, yeah, but you know, when the statement goes, oh, I never see a police officer,
Yeah.
what does that mean? Hey, they're never on the street. Now, it doesn't mean that we can't improve, right? I will make sure that we set up extra patrols, but I know East Thompson and Murfreesboro,
Yeah.
for a couple of years, we've arrested so many homeless in that area, and it got cleaned up, and then it goes away because we get pulled with community engagement team. I mean, we arrest a bunch, Volti, now we're on Drummond, you know, because we go where, you know, and again, we're just talking about this. There's a lot of issues in 69.5 square miles, you know, it's a big area. But I will, let me look at it. I'll give you my card. If someone can give me your email, I will respond to you, and I'll tell you exactly if or not. Same as I've done here, I'll be transparent with you. I can set up definitely extra patrols. That will be done, but I don't think that there's like no officer ever drives on one pole. Yeah.
All right, I wanted to know, did y'all solve that robbery? It was at gunpoint on Christmas Eve.
Which one? I mean, I have to you have to be very specific. How about this? I will give you.
No, it was at Greenway, it was at Wixit Park, and somebody walking was robbed at gunpoint.
At 9 a.m. on Christmas Eve.
9 a.m. Christmas Eve.
I believe I looked at that report, and again, we don't have robbery units that work for us. But if I will look it up, I will email you. I will give you my card.
I'll get your card.
Email me tonight,
Okay.
and then say all these things, and I will look up every single thing, and I'll tell you exactly as much as I can of, if it's an open investigation, obviously, but I'll tell you, I mean, there's people in this room, they'll tell you. If you email me, I will tell you exactly what I can.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, next question.
Hey, my name's Joseph. I also live on Wimpole Drive. And first of all, thank you for your service and thank you for everything you guys do. You guys, I think, have done a great job. So,
Thanks, sir.
one of the great things that you guys did is put what are those things called? The solar system cameras.
Sky Cops.
Sky Cops. Okay, you put one at the entrance of Whitsett Park, right? It took, I think, a rape or a robbery or something to do that. What is the exact mechanism by which we can request additional Sky Cops in strategic locations, such as on the other side of Whitsett Park? There's that underpass on Old Glenrose.
Yep.
And every time I drive by there, I often see tires and futons and mattresses just dumped. Unfortunately, some of our people don't know how to not live as a proper citizen. And I hate that because that ends up in the river, blah, blah, blah. So just having that presence, right, underneath that shady overpass would help. So I feel like if we can fund billions, millions of dollars for a genocide in Gaza, we can at least create additional Sky Cops in really shady areas, right? So
Those ones are park police, because it's a park, and I believe, I may lie to you, but I think they have 3 for the entire Davidson County. So they move them around, and that's park police. So up till this past year, Davidson County Metro Police had 8 for everything. So now finally,
Jesus.
yes. So now, you will see a lot of them like Walgreens, Lowe's, Home Depot. All those are private security companies, and they won't say police on them, and maybe they'll put them on there just so people believe. I mean, they do the same thing. So in South, we have 1.
You're joking.
No.
How can we get more?
Well, we fought really hard to get that, but it's safe.
Is it funding?
Is it-
Are they too expensive?
I don't know the exact answer to that, but it will always be some funding. It will, it'll always go through council people, what they're allowed, I don't want to misspeak, but I believe the police were just recently cut $5.2 million. The police department, I believe.
The budget was cut?
Yeah, for the police. I think 5.2 million, I believe. Don't hold me to, but I believe that's correct.
So who do we talk to and who do we put pressure on to increase?
Council
Okay.
people.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. But
That's absurd.
yeah. Now, of course, we fought even then. Of course, then it comes to our chiefs, right? Like they have a budget and they have to make sure everything. But they have funded at least these Sky Cops because when we used to have 8. Now when there were a lot of protests and things happen, they're being down there. Then when the Palestine-Israel things happened, there were 3 at Jewish temples. So then 8 precincts had to fight over 2 or 3. At least now I have one. So say like Drummond Drive, there was it's an issue and they're being vocal. So this is the second time we tried. Of course, everyone wants them. But just, again, email me.
We should have at least 1,000.
I agree with you.
Like, what the heck? Like, that's
I agree.
absurd.
Yeah, I agree. But
how much do they cost? I will buy one. For God's
yeah, I'm not sure, but I completely, hey, you know what? I would love to send you out to the council people.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, that's absurd.
Yeah.
And the last question, sorry, I think I forgot it, but.
Okay, yeah.
Was it about
we'll
the
come back to you. Yeah, no, guys, be sure to email our council people, our council person, council member in particular. I'll come to you next.
Is it not the state or the federal government that provides grants as well?
Well, some of it, but then it goes through, because it's metro, it's city, right? Like a lot of it. But some things are federally, like, grants, depending on what it is. But a lot of our budget comes through the city, of course.
I just
So,
had a
no,
question.
we have more now. We used to have 8 up till the summer.
I had a question about the budget. You just said that 5.2 million was cut from the police budget. Where did that 5.2 million go? Did that go to fund MNPS? Did that go to fund parks? Like,
You're talking
I
to the
don't know that it
wrong
just
person.
disappeared, right?
You're talking to the wrong person.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And again, I believe that is correct. I know the budget has been cut because we had to cut like some precision policing, like at night, even our community engagement stuff. We had to like change our shifts and stuff like that. So the budget has been cut. Like that's 100%. And I'm sure you can Google it and find out exactly what it was.
Yeah, so this would be the 2024 budget for the city of Nashville, meaning that 5.2 million is still a part of the total of the city, or are we saying that because we had a flattened budget for 2024, that was the line item that was cut?
You're talking to the wrong person.
Understood, thank you.
Here's what we'll do. You should be able to find that on the Nashville.gov website. So we'll see about possibly posting an abbreviated summary version of all the different cuts and ads and balancing of the budget.
And I will say, reach out to a council person. She should know because she's the one involved in the voting on the budget. So that's the person. They should be able to tell you exactly what has been cut, what has been funded, things like that. I don't want to say the wrong things and then tomorrow morning I'm fired. But it has been cut. All that stuff is yeah.
All right, we have time for a couple more questions.
We're all neighbors.
Okay, cool. Okay.
Well, hold on. I'm gonna let her ask the question.
Oh, well, thank you. I didn't hear anybody talk about Tass Avenue. Is it because it's safe? Is it because it's just a 2-block avenue? Tass Avenue. I live there. She was my neighbor. My house is right in front of the towers. We do have a lot of problem there with traffic from Nolensville. They just cut through there to not wait for the light, and they come speeding. I knew that was gonna happen with one of the residents there, or whoever is walking their dogs outside. That's a problem, so I don't know if it's safe. That's why it's not on any of your, or I'm the only one neighbor from that avenue.
I'm right down the street.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And we have the church right there on the corner. Oh my goodness. Traffic all day, Saturday, Sunday. They just come, boom, try to find park, whatever. It's becoming a big problem. I've been there since 2000, and I'm ready to move, but I really don't want to move.
So, like I said earlier, there's too many streets for I kind of try to pick a little bit, because the question was are we getting police presence? So, I picked some of the bigger streets to see. So, because, I wouldn't be at this meeting right now if I was still running every street in Glencliff and trying to, get all the stats and everything. And that's kind of what I prefaced with earlier. It doesn't mean one street, get my card. Even now, I will remember to make sure I send it to motors that, for speeding. But, the most important is get my card, email me. Because, we always, it's squeaky wheel gets the grease. If you're continually, emailing me, calling me, and, calling it in the police, but yes, I mean, and I can, once you email me, I'll be able to tell you exactly if we were ever there, if there were any traffic stops, things like that, but I will send it to Motors for that. But just make sure you email me and also weekly reports. I send out weekly reports. If you're not getting that, it's nothing crazy. It just gives you exactly the crime that happens in South and the streets it happens on a weekly basis. And then of course the community engagement stuff that we do or anything like that. If you're not getting those, get a card from me, email me, say you want to be on a distribution list, I will add you on there.
Cool. All right, we got time for 2 more questions.
I'm gonna make mine quick. After listening to you, I've came to a conclusion about 3 things that we need to look at, other than blaming the police. I've volunteered for the police department for about 20 years, so I know how short you may be. But by listening to your speech and going answering those questions, there's a couple of things that I think we as a community can do, or we need to start doing. First thing, I think we need the DA here at this meeting, because as long as they just patting them on the back or slapping them on the wrist, letting them go. You said earlier about how this 13-year-old juvenile was arrested within 2 weeks. We need juvenile judges here. Or we need them here, or city council person.
Agreed.
I think what we can do is start trying to get rid of these people. Like right now, I heard somebody said the mayor in LA, she did something about the water and whatever the case may be. Now they're getting rid of her. She probably will be gone by the end of the week on a recall. I don't know if we have that power for our city council people, but hey, we can use the same. We can use that same, but what we do is blame the police, so we have to stop doing that. Everything that happens, we blame the police. And I know you're short just like everybody else, but hey, we have to start doing things like that on our own. We got to get together. We have to recall, get the city council person out. We can recall, get the juvenile judges out. And we can get the DA out. I believe all of those can be out through recall. Because, just that juvenile, even though it may be a juvenile, for being arrested twice in 2 weeks, that's how it all is. If you go and check all the crimes that's going on, that's not their first crime. I can tell you that right now. All the people that you arrest, that's not their first crime. I would imagine 1 out of 100 may be their first time. But everybody else, they've been through the system. They know the system better than you probably. They know that juveniles is not going to do nothing but get a slap on the wrist. I'm going to call your parents, get on out of here. And they are going to go out and do that same crime, if not something worse, the next time. So we're looking at this different. We need to work on it from a different angle. I think we're here to criticize and critique the police. We need the DA, juvenile judges, our city council people. So those 3 we need to start working on.
And that stuff you can Google, the 13-year-olds. But I'll just say, with this group, I don't feel criticized at all. We work together great. I'm never please also, hey, we know we can do better. Hey, we have in every profession, right? We have some officers that are not very good. We have some officers that are really good. We have some officers that are average. Again, we're not naive in that, and this is not, hey, we know what we have to fix and we're trying, but it is everybody involved, and we can only show up, make an arrest. After that, it goes, different ways. But it's not like, hey, I will never be, oh, we're amazing. Everyone else in the city is doing a terrible job, And I'm sure, some officers will say that. But like I said, we're all adults. We know that in every profession, there's a spectrum of things. So all I can tell you is, as long as I'm here in this role, I will work for you, and I think I've shown that. But I never feel criticized by this group. I'll just be honest to say that. So.
All right, guys, we gotta wrap this up here pretty soon, so please keep your questions. All right, cool.
So, one point that I do want to make is that our Metro Council person, no matter which way she drives home, she drives past one of the two houses that we've been talking about most tonight, every single day, multiple times a day. And like, I am so tired of begging people for help and hearing, oh, it's Metro Police's fault. No, it's the council's fault. No, it's CSX's fault. Like, I just want to know who I need to go yell at, because I don't care who hates me. I will be the squeaky wheel. But to me, what I'm hearing tonight is that the neighbors need to get together and they need to go to the MAPCO and they need to go to the Exxon and they need to get trespass orders signed so that people can get arrested on these properties. But it's like, I sometimes feel like we're pretending that there's not other solutions to these problems. There's a lot of ways for us to work on this stuff together. And like, that's a completely valid action that we can take as a neighborhood together to get started. So.
And I'll tell you, and honestly, like, even if you don't know who to yell at, email me. I'll tell you who it is. You know, which, even if it's me, you'll yell at me. And
I emailed CSX and bitched them out. They came that week with an investigator who had federal jurisdiction. So like, be a pain in the ass. Don't care about who hates you. Why do you care?
Exactly.
because they were always, and that email, right? Like, he was like, oh, we give, you know, Metro. No, it's a federal property. I mean, it's like railroads are federal property. Yes, can we? But it's their property, you know. And it's again, yes, they give us, you know, a little bit, but again, I think she emailed, you know, in the beginning, she did yell at me through email, the first email, but she did. I said, you did yell at me through first email, but that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
People telling me, oh, it's there, it's like pass the buck. Like, tell me who to go yell at. I'll go yell at them. I'll make an ass of myself. I don't care, but you gotta tell me.
And I pointed you in the right direction.
You came and you met with multiple of our neighbors, and it was so helpful. And that is the first time in 4 years that any of us have felt heard. And it made a difference, you know? So, that's what I'm saying.
Can we go into the It's just.
Hey, I mean, it's up to you guys. I mean, but we can talk even just like here off the side. I'll give everyone my card, and I'll be here as long as you want me to.
I'm just gonna make, oh wow, that's really bright. I'm just gonna make, I guess, one kind of final closing, and then like you said, if anybody wants to kind of pop over after. But just to kind of feed off of that, that's why we put this together. We want people to be, well, we don't want anybody to be angry, but we want people who are angry to, we want to come up with solutions. We want to, you know, make the right decisions, or not decisions, but we want to make an impact. I mean, that's the reason why I joined the neighborhood group, because I got tired of kind of sitting on the sidelines and watching things happen and feeling like, what am I doing if I'm just sitting at home screaming and arguing with people in the Facebook group? So that was one of the reasons why I really just wanted to come out, and strength in numbers is important. You know, the comment that you made about like, how do we recall our council person? We can't even get people to come together to come to these meetings. And we are trying. If you know your neighbors and you talk to your neighbors and you all have similar problems, tell them to reach out to us. Alexa would be happy. She's not here. She's listening to me right now, and she's probably like, Katie, what are you saying? Alexa, I mean, she makes stuff happen. She put this together. She is passionate about our neighborhood and about our city. Reach out to Alexa, reach out to Sergeant Denny, reach out to us. But you know, if we don't come together, we're just gonna keep pounding sand on our own.
Well, and we have a lot of enthusiastic people in here tonight, so thank you guys so much for coming. I also want to say one thing that we do want to launch is a phone tree initiative. If you hear or see something, say something. We want to have some street captains. If anybody would be interested in signing up for that, you can talk to me after this, and we'll get you signed up, because I have 2 or 3 neighbors. I live over on McCall Street. Not sure if I should be telling everybody where I live, but hey, you know what? We're all family here, right? And I have 2 or 3 of my neighbors that already tell me, like, hey, did you hear that, or did you see that? So to have one of us go in and call HUB, or call the police department, call the non-emergency number 911, and also just writing our council members. And we could even establish other initiatives, like who can go talk to Exxon, who can go talk to CSX, So if you guys want to sign up for some of this stuff, come talk to me after this, and we'll start getting everybody involved. We'd love to have all of you guys part of this with us.
Don't forget about our meeting on Sunday.
That too. So yeah, we're having a meeting
4
on Sunday at 4 o'clock over here in the alumni room. I'll be here. Katie will be here. Alexa will be here. Debbie will be there. Yeah, and we also are having a meeting and we're having a meeting if you guys are willing to stay after that. We're putting together a music and arts festival that's going to be happening at the end of April called Flat Rock Fest. So if you guys are interested in joining that, that's a fun thing, not a sad thing or annoying thing. That's going to be a fun thing to do. So so again, we thank you guys so much for coming tonight. Thank you, Sergeant Deniv, for coming up here with us tonight. And thank you to Glencliff High School for having us.
Thank you, Glencliff.
So thank you guys again, and y'all have a great night.